So in that midsection of the course, we're about halfway up now, so we're at the widest point for where the strategies come up. Maybe just below half. Apologies on that. Right on one side, Jock Calvert, Anders Pedersen, Tom Ramshaw on that port hand side. So slightly out of shot as we see it. Over towards that far right hand side. Tucked up, we've got Callum Dixon. He is one of the furthest boats out towards that right hand side. Where some of those boats set up. Philip Galazusk coming across on starboard in one of those gaps there, looking to try and come back again and find a gap. Max Salmonen from Sweden doing the same. Luke Muller from the USA. They're all starting to come back on that right-hand side. A little bit of a shift on that right. So with that shift coming back and the boats getting onto starboard tack, they're certainly, the boats over towards the left are going to struggle a little bit with some lack of options. They're being held towards that left-hand side. But again, a very tactical first beat. A lot of the lead boats staying in that midsection, giving themselves the options, showing that there's not the commitment to one side or the other. Reigning European champion Ed Wright out towards that right-hand side alongside Caleb Payne and Josh Jr. all coming in from that right. Max Kohlhoff, Alexandro Muscat tucked in the middle as well. They're fairly close to that centre of the course. And now we start to see Giles Scott settle into a bit of a rhythm over towards that right. Just ducking behind him, Somber Burkes, the world champion, who's within snapping distance on the overall leaderboard. But many of these sailors, again, stepping from the Finn class, different boats, whether it's Maxis, whether it's into America's Cup boats, they're all rotating around different things because the Finn sailors seen as the powerhouses of the water world, as well as the tactical and strategic knowledge required to sail the boats. Understanding every aspect of how that rig works. Huge amounts of testing goes into rigs, the sails, the way, and then of course comes down to that human effort of movement in the boat, how much you put into it at the times, what you're allowed to do with inside the rules. Huge amount of knowledge to go through on that. So we now start to see at this halfway mark, if not just above the halfway mark, how things are starting to pan out. And the lead boats all coming from that mid left. One boat that I'm sure will be setting the crowds on the quayside and out in Athens more wild than anybody else, of course, is Ineos Metakas. A lot of weight on his shoulders, getting Greece requalified for the Olympics in 2020 in Tokyo. But he is certainly looking that once he's got that qualification position under his belt, then the full focus can go on about that performance. He finished 11th in Rio. Certainly struggled in Aarhus, the World Championships last year. It was a very challenging event and really threw the cat amongst the pigeons for many of the sailors, and finished second in Aarhus, which obviously hugely disappointed with. Came away with a fifth in the Hempel World Cup Series here result. So the boats making their way upwind for the first time. The marks now just coming into shot from the tracker. Caleb Payne looks like he's in a great position over towards that right-hand side, along with Ed Wright. They should be coming back across. So according to the image you are all seeing, it's the tracker's just paused a minute there, so it will pick back up again. But we have Caleb Payne over towards that right-hand side. But the boat just left of middle, the purple line, that is Ineos Mitakis. Get that little bit of breathing space creeping out in front. For all the German fans, again, all resting their weight on trying to get their qualification place. You can see Philip Kazuski. So some pretty surprising countries that haven't qualified yet. So just to give you a bit of an idea of some of the big names that haven't managed to get themselves qualified are Caleb Payne, bronze medal in Rio from the USA. So he's still, USA got two between him and Luke Muller, are the two that people are keeping their eyes peeled on to work. World champion in 2013 and the winner of the Hempel Sailing World Cup Series in Geneva is Jorg Zarif. Brazil have not qualified yet. Again, Australia, and so hopes lie with the Olympian Jake Lilly. So there's a bit of weight on him as well. He was 8th in Rio, 16th in Aarhus as well, and that's why no qualification spot was earned. But also, just to name a few of the other countries, Croatia, Finland, France and Norway. And so, just picking out some of the names that should have been qualified. Gaspik from Croatia. We picked up Jonathan Lobert, a huge dominant force within the Finn class. Third, a nice bronze medal in London 2012. He's been second at the World in 2015 and 17, and so again a surprise that he hasn't qualified yet. Finland's Oskari Munhunen looking to try and get himself there, and again who's someone that's popped up quite a few is Anders Pedersen. He had a good first day, bit of a shocker in that first one where he got a penalty and picked up. He was out in front at the time. Looking at that tracker, it looks like Jonathan Lobert is a little bit sucked back into the pack on this far left-hand side. The centre of the screen at the bottom, he was a lot further up than that, so clearly just a little bit of an issue on that. So don't get panicked if you're wondering what's happened there for Josh Jr. But what a lead at the moment coming in that midsection. Lined up though, there are a good handful and cluster of boats over towards that right hand side. Domkonos, Nemeth looking to come back in. The couple of the Japanese, Nishio, all lined up. Some boats really heavily pushing over towards that right hand side. But they are approaching him. Philip Kazuski, he's just below Mitaka, so looking in a good shape as well. So as we approach in at the top mark for the first time, we can see Ilias Mitakis at the front of the fleet here. He is a lot of support, but has a lot of weight on his shoulders as well about getting this qualification in. So you can see what the leaderboard's starting to work out. But here we go. The live pictures show what breeze we've got out on the water as well. As the lead boats close in on this top mark, you can start to identify some of the boats here. We've got just go across on the left-hand side on port is Alejandro Muscat behind those lead boats. But coming in here, we can see the gold bib of Giles Scott. But tacking in front and leading this race is the hometown favourite, Inias Mitakis. 377 is around the top mark in first. This is exactly where he needed to be to give himself that bit of breathing space. But there is the gold bib and the gold dot on the sail for Giles Scott, Olympic champion, overall leader at the moment. Alichan Kanar, round we go. And then we have Alazar going round. Caleb Payne, bit of a squeeze there. It looks like Tom Ramshaw trying to squeeze in at that point. Just nipped in at that point. Anders Pedersen squeezing around with Muscat at the same time. Odin Christensen coming round as well. And fellow countrymen, you have a Greek sort of around. Antonius Manakalakis. But very, very tight. There's Jan Posma trying to squeeze round at that point. Again, attacking in and around. Ed Wright, European champion round. Max Kolhoff, all trying to get round at the same time. So a lot of them trying to push this port hand lay. Trying to squeeze in, make sure they've got space to tack in. Oskari Munhanen just going round there, not the place he wants to be. You can see Jorg Zarif very deep coming in on that, as well as there's our current third overall is our world champion Zomba Burkes just going round with that red bib and the red dot. There's Jorg Zarif in a lot of trouble at that point, trying to get round. So all gone wrong so far for that man there. Also, Nednad Buggerin just going round. He had a good day yesterday. It's only just squeezing round. We can see one of the Australians, I believe that to be Lachlan Gillum, trying to squeeze round just inside the Irishman. But not the kind of start that some of those names we saw, making a real difficult sort of job of trying to get round that. So again, wide range boats, lots of boats come down from Ukraine. Cristiano Rushman, the other Brazilian, is around as well. Good French contingency have turned out as well. A lot of people making the journey down to Athens to enjoy those kind of conditions. So we will join the racing again shortly. Obviously, cameras have decided that's a better looking sign for everyone. But out in front, Ineos Mitakas leads the fleet still, tightly packed in behind them. Giles Scott, Caleb Payne, Alichan Kana, Philip Kazuski, Jock Calvert. They are all closing in. You can see the bit of breathing space they've got. Alichan Kana doing nicely on that left-hand side. Fernando Olazard tucked in just behind him. Caleb Payne really trying to just create that little bit of separation down towards that right-hand side. Light breeze, so they will not be able to freely pump. They will have to do it all within the rules of Rule 42. There, for anyone just joining and confirmation, scrolling across the bottom are those lead boats at that top mark. You can see Alejandro Muscat in Spanish 7, just back from those lead few boats. Looking to get Spain qualified. He had a good battle with Jorg Zarif just only a few weeks back in Genoa at the Hempel World Cup Series. Some penalties picked up by both boats, and the tables were turned. He led into that final medal race, but it was Jorg Zarif who got the jump on him in that medal race. So if you can see also on the tracker, you might have just picked up on in that top left-hand side, the Dutchman Ned 89 and his Nicholas Heiner. No, he's not about flagged, and so has to sit this race out and honestly just sit and watch them, which is painful for him, as this is breathing space that he can gain to be able to get himself selected to represent the Netherlands in Tokyo. So you can see that breeze has softened somewhat from the start of that race. Some lovely clouds there. Now we come back, see where we're going. So currently feel a little bit seasick looking at the camera, so I'm going to try and identify sort of where we're at with the tracker. We still have the lead out in front, just off the top of the screen now. Alichan Kana as well. And he looks like that left-hand side's gone well for Alichan, as well as Olazar has come down that side. Tom Ramshaw as well. That left-hand side, but numerous boats all huddled in on that inside. We've got who's trying to identify exactly who's just tucked in on that inside. We have the Dane looking to drive forward in his side winds. Andre Hosen Christensen. You can see the distance and the separation being created here. These are Metaxas's home waters. Very, very proud about the water that he sails upon, and of course having and hosting the European Championships just makes it all that little bit more special. But as I highlighted before, a lot of weight on his shoulders trying to get the country qualified. You can see that sun starting to try and creep through, which is causing this breeze to drop a little bit. It's now turned, rather than sort of more of an overcast day, just turned into that slight haziness. As soon as that haze is there, it can make it pretty tricky and can make the wind suddenly start to filter out. It's quite late in the day, obviously, in Athens, where it's just coming up to 5:30 there in the evening. And so this is where the breeze could easily start to filter out. I'm certainly hoping not before the end of this race. But great technique from the Greek. That main right out weight to windward, just trying to work any possible little wave. He certainly seems to have settled into the condition of the boats. So we have Alichan Kanar coming down from right on picture, trying to close the gap on it. Olazar as well. That, to me, looks like a bright yellow bib in the centre of the screen there. We're just pulling away from it. That was Giles Scott. So again, the tracker just losing track of that. There's Alichan coming in from that side. Another jibe from Mitakas. You can see Alichan Kana trying to close that gap. Person who's lost out quite a bit here is Giles Scott. He's struggled for, obviously, pace down this. There was a nice little bit of a kick towards that left side. And that's exactly what Alichan tapped into. But the breeze is coming light. So Mitakas leads as they get down towards the gate marks. Decisions already made where they want to be going. Which mark will he take? What about the rest of the fleet? So Alichan taking that quite high line here, and certainly doesn't seem to be making a huge amount more headway with speed. So sailing a slightly greater distance, but doesn't look like it's to the advantage of a greater speed. So final jibe coming in from Alichan, trying to close that gap, but Mitakas has. So now the covering defensive jibe coming back again. So this light breeze obviously causing all sorts of shake-ups for many a sailor on that course at the moment, and just going to dive back and try and see where a few other people are. Andy Maloney starting to come back through alongside Ed Wright, Jonathan Lobert, Josh Jr. a little bit further back. Fabian Pick and Max Selmanen have been dragged back into more the centre of the picture as the Greek leads at the bottom mark and heads back upwind for the second time. Look at that lead, taking this near side mark to ensure he can start to get towards that right hand side of the course, which is where he wanted to come from. Fukando Alazar, he's going to jibe inside and make that gain over towards the other side. I would have said is Alichan. So Alichan Kanar takes one mark. Olizar the other. Giles Scott down to fourth, but still very much in the battle as that main starts to come round. That gold bib, gold dot. He's got to reset, be calm as he goes round, gets back into it. Now we can see Tom Ramshaw coming in with the Canadian flag, trying to gain some gap there. Just trying to. That's Khalid Payne. Round, looking in a good position. Then the Danish sailor who's been making his way through, Andre Hosen Christiansen, tucked in. Not a great rounding. Tom Ramshaw squeezing out on there. Going round that other side of the gate mark. Looks like Ulwich. There's Muscat. Alhambra Muscat squeezing in. Two boats trying to go through. Max Salmonen is one of them. Apologies, that's not Salmonen. It's a bit further back. That's there we see Anders Pedersen from Norway just in front of a big contingency of the Germans. One of them, the closest one, 25, Max Kohlhoff. Just inside him, Simon Goggles. You can see how light this breeze has got. Sloppy is the water, is only one way to describe it. So look at the bundle as they all try to get round. Remember, this is just one side of the gate. A decision will have been made early. No way you could choose it out. No problems for Mitakas, who is out in front by some margin. Plenty of breathing space and exactly where he would want to be. So very difficult conditions for the boats going round now to try and pull up and clear out any more space. It'll be all trying to identify a clear lane, which is going to be difficult in this light breeze. There, as the tracker shows, in the centre of screen, Giles Scott, Olympic champion, overall leader at the moment, sitting in around, as the leaderboard has it, in second, but we saw him go round in about fourth. He's got Khalid Payne on his left-hand side, the Argentinian Olazar over towards his right, but in lead and firmly in control of this race at the moment is the countryman, a very proud Greek, Mitakis. So as the fleets separate out, you can really start to see the gaps form at that front part of the fleet. But you can see how tightly packed it is in the middle. So again, looking to try and get these pictures. So just stick with the trackers. Again, prime opportunity. At the same time, if you're balancing it among the social media, you can also check out Facebook with the Fin class, the international Fin class, Instagram Fin class, Twitter Fin_class. Keep up to date with Mark Roundings as well and what's going on. But now those lead boats all starting to push towards that left-hand side, experiencing some fun and entertainment with the trackers, and they keep just jolting and playing catch up. So difficult with the trackers and the conditions we've got. So as we talked about, all of the names you could ever expect from the Fin class are here. The lineup just kind of speaks for itself, really. They're all here to do battle at this European Championship, would love to take that title. But of course, many of them in their own battles within their own countries for trying to select themselves as the boat of choice. But also many of them trying to select and qualify their. So the 8 countries that had qualified from Aarhus are Hungary, Sweden, Netherlands, New Zealand, Canada, Argentina, Great Britain, and Turkey. And of course, that 9th spot going to Japan. Of course, they earn that from being the host nation and already being provided that. So you can see the trackers the other way around. So just before you get too confused, you can see the lead boats are towards the bottom screen as they make their way upwind to the final upwind mark. It is Mitakas leading out in front. All going well for him and doing exactly where he needed to. So we see just below the Greek is the Argentinian Olazar. Next to him, Alichan Kanar, the Britishman Giles Scott, Caleb Payne, all in there at the moment. So we're sticking with the tracker at the moment, and we'll join live pictures shortly. But all sorts of technical entertainment going on. But again, hopefully just keeping you up to date with everything that is going on out on the water. And look at that gap. Just starting, it only looks like a small gap from the actual position of where that tracker is. But I can assure you that is some distance for it to pick up that clearly on the tracker. So leading from the start of the first race and currently still leading in this first race of the day, which is race number 4, is the countryman, the home favourite, Ineos Mitakas. Now we can see Olazar just tucked up in second. Just back from him, Giles Scott, then Caleb Payne, then Alichan Kanar. Alichan suffered a little bit by going out towards that left-hand side. Tom Ramshaw's there, all tucked in, ready to go. Anders Pedersen just over towards that left-hand side. So there we go. Just picking up, that was the Argentinian going round in second. So Mitakas already round and gone. Alazar in second. In comes the gold bib of Giles Scott, who's certainly doing all he needs to do to keep everything together with these results. His nearest rival to him at the moment, I believe, is Olwich, the Croatian, who's some way back from him. So, bit of breathing space for him at the moment. Round Alichan Kana. Sorry, he is the next one up, who is in fourth. Caleb Payne, Tom Ramshaw. Round the Danish, hanging in there, doing a superb job. We've been waiting to see how he panned out. Trying to squeeze around now. Bit of a shake-up in the result. Vladimir Krutskis coming in through. There's Anders Pedersen. There's Alejandro Muscat. Now, the contingency of German boats starting to flood in. Fellow Croatian sailor just squeezing round. Then the German 259. That is Filip Kazuski. Right behind him, Max Kolhoff. There is the first of the New Zealanders, which is Josh Jr. Jan Posma squeezing round. There's Ed Wright, defending European champion, but struggling with the conditions today, trying to find his momentum. So as the boats make their way downwind, this is the final chance to see so this is all slotting into place for Giles Scott and also Alichan Kana. They're both up there. That will start to apply the pressure to the other boats. Just trying to identify where some of the other key names that are further up in this pack might be. Max Salmon and Jorg Zarif are still coming upwind. The world champion Burquez just getting round. Jonathan Lober as well, only just round that windward mark. So look at that lead. Can he hold on start to finish? This is what it's all been about. Show the home fans exactly what can be done on home water. So those have been your leading few boats. But places, choppy and change. Ignore the one on the far right. That is the Dutchman, Nicholas Heiner, who's had to just sit and watch this race unfold as he was black flagged. But it had all gone the way for Mitakas. Alazar trying to close that gap, but that's a big old distance to shut. Charles Scott in third, and again, fair bit of space from him and Alazar, whether he's going to close that gap. Alichan Kanar, Thomas Ramshaw coming down. So we've been keeping an eye on Tom Ramshaw. He's back in, he's in 12th place. So 5th in Aarhus at the World Championships last year. He was 21st in Rio. So certainly looking to qualify and then give himself another shot at an Olympic medal. He has qualified his country by that 5th in Aarhus. So the pressure is off to qualify, but it's all about making it all work together now and come together and be in the right place at the right time. Peak when it comes to those games. Lots of various stepping stones along the way. Still the Olympic test event coming up in Enoshima in August. So many of these sailors will be working their way out to Japan after this event. There we go. You can see how hazy it is out on the water. That's that sun just starting to try and push through some of the cloud cover. But what a fantastic picture. This is what the home fans with this all the way through to the finish. There's Mitakas. Ilias Mitakas has been out in front from the start. He was 11th in Rio. There's a bit of a disaster in Aarhus, and he is looking to put things right now. First of all, he's also trying to ensure that they will be going to the games and big push with that as well. So a lot resting on this man's shoulders. But with a performance like this in race number 4, this is surely going to put some of those doubters to bed. But it's all going to come down to consistency. But what a confidence booster. The finish line now creeping into Greek 77. Ilias Mitakas is going to take the race win here. Race number 4. This will certainly see him moving up the leaderboard. He was 19th going into that race. He'll move up. So, a great race win for the hometown favourite. But where does everyone else sit? It was the Argentinian Alazar, Facundo Alazar, coming across the line in 2nd place. That will do him a world of good as well. Not far back from him. There it is as well. Just hiding behind the map is Charles Scott. He takes a 3rd place. So, out of all 4 races, he's not dropped out of the top 4. Alichan Kanar coming in. Tom Ramshaw, a great result for him there. His best result so far and exactly what he needed. You can see how light and fickle this breeze has gone. It's all about trying to move it through. On the rest of the boat starting to stream through. So we had some real mixed bags of where people have come. There'll be some happy people. We've got Caleb Payne squeezing through Olwich in that group. Anders Pedersen. We've got Josh Jr., Alejandro Muscat, Ed Wright, all tucked in there. We can see Ulwich crossing through. There's Anders Pedersen. Fellow countryman just crossing the line there. Milan Wujason Norzovic. The first of the Kiwi sailors across the line is Josh Jr. So where is Andy Maloney? Not the race or the day that he was hoping for. That looks like Ed Wright, European champion, crossing the line. There is Andy Maloney. So some way back, the blue dot on his sail there. Not what he wanted. And look at the streamer boat still battling all the way tooth and nail, right to the end, right to the finish line. But it is only race 4 and we are already starting to see some turbulent times coming in from the racers. Nicholas Heiner, one of the favourites, picking up a black flag. That will certainly turn his race upside down a little bit. Zomba Burkers coming in 3rd place on the overall leaderboard going into today. He's just crossed the line. Not a great race for this man here, Jörg Zarif. You can see the disappointment looking around, pretty frustrated with that as he comes in and crosses the line. Looking back just to see where anyone else is. So the only couple of boats to hold it together there was Giles Scott, who will extend his lead even further out of grass. Max Selman and there in shot as well. Certainly not the regatta he hoped for. But also Alichan Kainar, he's secured a solid result again. So very, very tight at the top, but there's going to be a nice extension on his lead. Will be for Giles Scott. All 4 points just tallying up to 8. Alichan Kainar will likely be the next person on that leaderboard. It will be closer to sort of 21, 22 points if I can work out and remember where he was. So as the rest of the boats cross that line, just waiting for further information about the next upcoming race. So you can see the wind out there is still good. The boats all hovering around that starting boat, waiting to get another race on. It certainly probably won't be a long delay between the races. But we'll wait for... But it's pretty definitive to who won. That goes first place, race number 4 to Mitakas, the Greek. Then some great showing from the Argentinian Olazar in second. Giles Scott. Those were your top 3 as they came across the line. Of course, there were some black flag boats, so plenty of work for the results to do and shake up. We are just waiting to hear for the next start time, but of course everyone's got to get across that line before we even worry about that start time. Keep track of everything going on through the social media. Facebook, the International Fin Class, Instagram Fin Class, Twitter Fin_class. Go and have a look on certainly the Facebook pages and see some of the great highlight clips that have been put together by Boo Outridge.